is staying on the offensive, going after not only the attorney who filed the rape lawsuit against him and Diddy, that would be Tony Busby, the attorney, but also the accuser. And he has filed a new motion this morning, which we're going to get to in a moment, but basically he wants to level the playing field with the accuser. But first, we got to start with this response that JayZ had to the allegation. Catch you up real quick if you hadn't heard, but a woman who had filed a lawsuit against Diddy back in October, alleging that he had raped her at a VMA after party in the year 2000 when she was only 13 years old.
Right. Remember, this is when she allegedly was given a drink. She felt woozy, and there was Diddy, and there was a male celebrity who was unnamed at the time, and also a female celebrity.
Well, that unnamed celebrity is now named. She refiled the lawsuit on Sunday. She and her attorney, Tony Busby, refiled it and named JayZ as the unnamed celebrity involved in the rape. JayZ's response is extraordinary in that, look, we've seen all these lawsuits against Diddy, dozens of them now at this point, and frequently his response has been to deny it, but to say nothing else. JayZ went way more than just denying it. He did do that, but then went directly after the attorney. Part of his statement said, "My lawyer received a blackmail attempt from a lawyer named Tony Busby. It made me want to expose you, Tony Busby, for the fraud you are in a very public fashion. So no, I will not give you one red penny. This lawyer, who I have done a bit of research on, seems to have a pattern of these types of theatrics. You claim to be a Marine? Marines are known for their valor. You have neither honor nor dignity." There were other shots at Tony Busby in his statement where he called him an ambulance chaser in a cheap suit.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is, and if you've heard Tony Busby's name before, it's because he seems to always find his way. I'm not saying a bad thing, but he seems to always find his way into the big case, Charles, right? I mean, if it's Travis Scott, if it's Deshaun Watson, the NFL quarterback, he's always involved.
So JayZ had that strong response.
Yeah.
Tony Busby isn't backing down, and in fact said that he denied that there was any extortion. He said, my client merely reached out and wanted to have a confidential mediation.
Right.
Now, I got to say, I don't know what that confidential mediation would be about other than money.
Right.
But his point is the letter itself did not make any request for money.
Right, though I'm sure that was coming.
Yeah, it sounds like Busby's response was a little bit disingenuous. The confidential mediation would be where they would broker a settlement and not have the issue go public in the way that he did. He also mentioned that JayZ has sued him, and that got us.
At the center of this controversy is their partnership with LVMH, a titan in the luxury industry, led by the infamous Bernard Arnault. The implications of the ongoing drama between Diddy, JayZ, and the luxury giant could have disastrous consequences, threatening to unravel the Carters' carefully cultivated empire.
Filed against Busby alleging extortion.
Back in November, yeah.
That's right. And now JayZ, in his recent motion that you referenced earlier, has said, yeah, that was me. Because when you sent your demand letters to me, I then went forward, stood my ground with an extortion lawsuit against you. And now if you're going to continue this whole spectacle, I want the accuser's name out there as well. She shouldn't be able to sue me as a Jane Doe. He says, fair is fair. This is a response to, this is retaliation for me standing my ground when you tried to extort me. And now let's just get it all out there.
Right. So the follow the beats here. First, Diddy is sued.
Right.
The unnamed celebrity, and at the time when we covered that, we thought the fact that they didn't name this person sounded like they were probably reaching out to that person to try and get a settlement. JayZ says that is exactly what happened, and when he turned him down, he thinks that the only reason they have now refiled this and put his name in there is retaliation for JayZ suing Tony Busby for extortion. So this is going around and around, but a very strong denial from JayZ.
It is, and it's look, we've seen, and not just in this Diddy situation, we've seen a lot of cases in the past where celebrities have been accused of wrongdoing. This hardly ever happens, Charles, where you see the person under fire, the celebrity, fire back and this intensely.
Right, back at the attorney, and then filing, Derek, this motion for the accuser.
Right. He is not taking this lying down, clearly.
And look, you're allowed to file documents anonymously, particularly where there's allegations that she was only 13 when this happened. So that's not uncommon to see. But JayZ now thinks this is an extortionate plot. And he says, in order to unearth all of this and unmask it all, we now need to know the identity of that person. And since it happened in 2000, she's obviously of age now. She's alleging that she was 13 in the year 2000. And he's saying we need to put all our cards on the table. I need to be able to identify my accuser and actually fight this lawsuit on its terms, on its face.
Yeah, I think it would be extraordinary, I think, Derek, if the judge did force the accuser to, this is the really alarming part of this case, is that we're talking about a 13-year-old is the alleged victim, a woman who was at the time 13. And by the way, Tony Buzbee isn't backing down, said that his client remains steadfast in her resolve in this case, that she will not back down and that she is going to continue to seek justice. So it's going to be interesting to see what the judge says here, because we did see the judge demand that in one of the Diddy cases, the accuser be revealed.
It was actually Evander Kane, the NHL star's ex. I understand it, Charles, from the standpoint, it's like, how do you defend yourself? And this is not a criminal case, fine. But how do you defend yourself in a court if you don't know who's making the allegation against you?
That's the argument that JayZ's making.
Marche from Montreal. I mean, guys, who is really surprised by this, right? I'm not. I don't believe anyone else is. JayZ and Diddy go way back, decades, right? They've been friends since, 1990? That's about 30 years of solid friendship. It was only a matter of time before JayZ was also accused of such crime. Now, whether it's a plot or not, whether it's true or not, we can all agree that this is the fastest we've seen JayZ respond to allegations or accusations. He did not take this lightly.
Yeah, and it's very clear he also saw it coming.
As anyone following pop culture knows, JayZ and Bey Estes' rise to billionaire status is a triumph of BR building and strategic investment. They have become synonymous with success in both music and business.
He knew that he got that demand letter. He had sued Tony Buzbee. This was not...
However, recent reports coming out of France suggest that their joint ventures in the luxury sector, particularly their alcohol brands, are beginning to backfire, threatening not just their personal image, but also their place within the prestigious LVMH umbrella J.
JayZ's attorney says the sexual assault claim against the hip-hop mogul is false. A woman has accused JayZ of raping her at an after-party for the 2000 MTV Video Music Awards when she was 13 years old. But attorney Alex Spiro says the allegations are, quote, all a fantasy. CNN's Elizabeth Wagmeister has the latest from New York.
JayZ's attorney is doubling down on a denial that his client ever raped a 13-year-old girl. Now, JayZ has already fiercely denied these accusations, and his legal team has already asked the court to dismiss this case entirely. But now, for the first time speaking to reporters since these accusations came out, JayZ's attorney, Alex Spiro, held a press conference of sorts. There was a private meeting at JayZ's Rock Nation offices in New York City where CNN was invited to watch a presentation put on by JayZ's attorney, where he had a PowerPoint where he showed different details that he says disprove Jane Doe's case. Let's take a look at some of what he said.
This is not an account of inconsistencies. I wanted everybody to understand that this never happened. This is completely false. You have to look at the timeline. You have to look at the timeline. So there's an old expression that time doesn't lie. Everything else that I'm talking about, these glaring inconsistencies, these are not minor inconsistencies. These are not minor problems with this story. This is utter falsehoods. Time never lies. And so if you look at the time, no matter what, this couldn't have happened. It's not even possible that this happened.
Now, as you heard there, JayZ's attorney saying that these aren't just inconsistencies in Jane Doe's case. He's saying that the entire thing is false. In fact, he says it's not even possible that JayZ was there. Now, if we go back to Jane Doe's initial
At the heart of this growing storm are JayZ's Armand the Brie Neck champagne, also known as of Spades, and B's recently launched whiskey brand, which is distributed by Moët Hennessy Assai of LVMH.
complaint, she alleges that she was raped by both JayZ and Sean Diddy Combs at an after party for the MTV Video Music Awards in the year 2000. Now, this after party, she said, was held at a White House that was outside of the city. Well, JayZ's attorney actually showed photos of JayZ that night at an after party, but it was in New York City. So he says, if you look at the timeline, it's not possible that JayZ was in the suburbs at this alleged after party because he was photographed being somewhere else. Now, in her initial complaint, Jane Doe also said that she got to this alleged after party by getting into a limo from a driver outside of the MTV VMAs who said that they worked for Sean Combs. Well, today, JayZ's attorney is saying that's not possible because the limousine line was barricaded by the police and fans were not able to access it. Now, I reached out to Jane Doe's attorney. His name is Tony Busby. He says that he is representing over 120 accusers of Sean Diddy Combs. This is the first accuser to come forward and name JayZ, but he tells me that he stands by his client. He says that they are still vetting her, but when I asked about the vetting process, here's what he told me. He said that 4 individuals at his firm interviewed the client and checked details. He says that a background check was run on Jane Doe and that his firm actually engaged a seasoned investigator to vet some details she disclosed to us, and he said, quote, those results were consistent with what the client had told us. He also says that she has signed 2 separate affidavits, and he tells me, quote, courts exist to resolve factual disputes. Our client.
These brands, once seen as the crown jewels of their partnership with LVMH, are now facing increased scrutiny. A number of corporate insiders and high-ranking executives within LVMH are reportedly concerned about the damage that JayZ's recent legal troubles, specifically his TI, could do to the reputation of their high-end portfolio.
Accusing JayZ of sexually assaulting her more than 20 years ago when she was 13 is speaking out, and she admits there are inconsistencies in her story. JayZ has come out swinging as well. Here's Allison Hall.
Is the sexual assault case against rap mogul JayZ falling apart? The woman who claims JayZ and Sean Diddy Combs raped her in 2000 when she was 13 years old is giving her first interview, but asked that her name and face not be shown. She says it happened at an MTV Video Music Awards after party.
JayZ comes in and rapes me. Well, he at that point I was fighting, trying to get away from him, and he put his hand over my mouth and told me to stop it.
During the NBC interview, she says that she spoke with musician Benji Madden and his brother Joel at the after party. Benji is married to actress Cameron Diaz.
I'm talking to Benji Madden about his tattoo that's the Last Supper because I have a religious background. So it was just something to talk about.
But in a statement, the Madden brothers say they did not attend the 2000 VMAs. Inside Edition found this document establishing that on September 7th, 2000, the night of the VMAs, the Maddens were giving a concert at the Vic Theater in Chicago. The woman also claims after the alleged assault, she ran to a gas station and called her father, who drove 5 hours from Rochester, New York, to pick her up and return home. But NBC says when they contacted her father, he says he can't recall the incident. I feel like I would remember that, and I don't. I have a lot going on, but I mean, that's something that would definitely stick in my mind. The woman filing the lawsuit against JayZ says it is possible that her father doesn't remember, but she stands by her story. I have made some mistakes. Honestly, what is the clearest is what happened to me. Court TV's Judge Ashley Wilcott.
Those details are very, very important. Does it mean that this didn't happen? Not necessarily, but they are something that JayZ's attorneys are going to pick apart.
And JayZ's attorney says based on what the accuser said, it is clear the assault never happened. Sean Diddy Combs also denies any wrongdoing. Meantime, the accuser's lawyer says she remains fiercely adamant that what she stated is true.
It's important to note that LVMH's decision to back JayZ's champagne, and Bain says whiskey wasn't merely a business transaction, it was also a statement of inclusivity and cross-cultural influence.
I think that I've been quiet long enough about what I've been through.
JayZ's accuser breaking her silence today.
You should always advocate for yourself and be a voice for yourself.
Her appearance kept secret in this exclusive NBC News interview, but now, for the first time, we hear directly from the Alabama mom who accused JayZ and P. Diddy of sexually assaulting her when she was only 13 years old.
You should never let what somebody else did ruin or run your life.
Detailing the night in question, she claims Diddy's driver took her to a VMA's after party.
Who told me that I was exactly what Diddy was looking for.
What did you think when he said that to you?
I thought it meant that I was just pretty.
In her civil lawsuit, she says she had a drink that made her feel, quote, woozy and lightheaded. That's what she claims the two music superstars assaulted her while an unnamed female celebrity watched. Both men have vehemently refuted her claims. Diddy called it a money grab, and JayZ has called it blackmail. But nevertheless, she described the alleged attack by JayZ.
At that point, I was fighting, trying to get away from him, and he put his hand over my mouth and told me to stop it, cut the.
The Carters are seen as icons not just within the African American community, but on a global scale, and their involvement with luxury products was viewed as a way to bridge the gap between street culture and elite old money well. But now this powerful alliance is under serious threat.
Home in silence. He didn't ask me what happened. He didn't ask me what I did.
But her father tells NBC News he doesn't remember picking up his then teenager and could not verify his daughter's claims. But despite both JayZ and Diddy claiming her story is a bold-faced lie, the accuser is standing firm.
I'm scared of what could happen, but I'm more afraid of letting it eat me alive from the inside out than I am of being chastised by their fans.
JayZ's ongoing legal battles, especially those involving Diddy, have opened up new lines of attack for LVMH's competitors and critics.
Tonight, JayZ fighting back against a rape accusation. His attorney filing a letter to the judge to dismiss the rape lawsuit against his client, citing an NBC News exclusive that found inconsistencies with the accuser's story.
You should always advocate for yourself.
It comes after our interview with a 38-year-old mother from Alabama who accuses Sean Diddy Combs and Sean JayZ Carter of raping her when she was 13 years old. She asked us not to reveal her identity.
What made you want to come forward?
Because I think that I've been quiet long enough.
She says that she went to the MTV Video Music Awards in 2000. The woman says she spoke to Combs' limo driver, who offered her a ride to an after party. She says at the party, she spoke to musician Benji Madden and his brother.
I'm talking to Benji Madden about his tattoo. That's the Last Supper.
In a statement to NBC News, a representative for the Maddens confirmed that they did not attend the 2000 VMAs and that they were on tour in the Midwest at that time. At the after party, she says she had a drink that made her feel woozy. Then she says Combs and Carter both raped her. She says she ran to a gas station where she called her father, who picked her up.
We rode home in silence. She didn't ask me what happened.
In an interview with NBC News, her father said he could not verify the claims. I feel like I would remember that, and I don't, he said. When we asked the woman about the contradictions in a phone interview on Friday, she said she stands by her statements. I have made some mistakes, she said, in remembering what happened 24 years ago. Honestly, what is the clearest is what happened to me. In a statement to NBC News, Sean Carter said, "This incident didn't happen. True justice is coming. We fight from victory, not for victory." A representative for Combs called the suit a shameless money grab.
Is any part of you scared coming out against such powerful people?
I'm scared of what could happen, but I'm more afraid of letting it eat me alive from the inside.
While JayZ remains presumed innocent in the eyes of American law, the very public nature of his association with Diddy, a figure who has become embroiled in scandal, has created a massive public relations problem.
It's a guy named Uncle Ron, right? I don't know if you've seen this video. You should have seen the video. It went viral. It was a real big video, man. It went viral, man. And his name is Uncle Ron, and he claims that he used to work for Puffy. He was one of Puffy bodyguards, and he said that Puffy offered him $30,000 to kill Biggie for his publishing. How you feel about that, yo? And do you know this guy?
Well, first and foremost, you got to realize this. Anybody can come on this internet and say anything, right? And dude is getting a whole lot of attention because people are even calling me, asking me about him, you know, and I don't know him from a can of paint. He even mentioned my name, saying that I know what I know. I don't know what he knows, but I do know this, that it's only 3 people that had contracts with Puff and Bad Boy. Me, Wolf, and Paul Offord. If he didn't come through Paul Offord Security, Green Gate Security, he didn't have a contract with Puff. Because anybody who worked for Puff, other than me and Wolf, came through Green Gate Security. That was Paul's security thing. Especially at the time that he was saying that he worked for Puff. Or Puff offered him $30,000. Now, anybody knows this, that Bad Boy took 50% of all this artist publishing, right? 50% of all the artist publishing straight out the rip. Then Puff gave Big $200,000 for the rest of his publishing.
For I, like LVMH, whose is built on the illusion of perfection and prestige, the optics of being linked to a legal controversy surrounding such a high-profile figure could do irreversible damage.